But imagine if I told you that most people who try to lose weight fail not because they're lazy, not because they lack willpower, but because they're focusing on the wrong thing. What if weight loss had very little to do with the G-man, a lot more to do with what's happening quietly inside your body every single day? For years, we've been taught a simple story: eat less, move more, exercise harder, burn calories, sweat it out, push through the pain, and if you don't lose weight, it must be your fault. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear: exercise is actually a very small part of long-term weight loss for most humans. That doesn't mean exercise is useless. It's great for health, mood, and strength. But when it comes to fat loss, especially sustainable fat loss, your body plays by very different rules. Think about this. There are people who work physically demanding jobs, all deconstruction workers, farmers, delivery workers, yet still struggle with weight. And then there are people who barely exercise at all but stay lean effortlessly. Clearly, something deeper is going on. Weight loss is not a punishment for eating too much. It's a hormonal and metabolic process. And once you understand that, everything changes. Let's start with the biggest misconception. Calories alone decide your weight. On paper, that sounds logical, but your body is not a calculator. It's a survival machine. When you slash calories or rely on exercise to burn off food, your body responds by slowing your metabolism, increasing hunger hormones, and conserving fat like it's preparing for a famine. That's why so many people start exercising, lose a little weight in the beginning, and then hit a wall. Or worse, regain everything. Your body adapts faster than your motivation. So if exercise isn't the main driver, what is? The real foundation of weight loss without exercise starts with insulin. Insulin is a hormone released when you eat, especially when you eat sugar and refined carbohydrates. Its job is to move sugar from your blood into your cells. But insulin also sends a very clear signal to your body: store fat. As long as insulin is high, your body is in storage mode, not fat-burning mode. This means you can eat less, exercise more, and still struggle because hormonally, your body is being told to hold on to fat. Now, here's the key insight most diets ignore. Weight loss is less about how much you eat, and more about what you eat and how often you eat. Highly processed foods, white bread, sugary drinks, sweets, chips, pastries cause insulin to spike rapidly. That spike doesn't just store fat, it also crashes your blood sugar afterward, making you hungry again within hours. So you eat again. Insulin spikes again. Fat storage continues. This creates a cycle that feels like a lack of discipline, but it's actually biology. On the other hand, whole foods like vegetables, eggs, healthy fats, legumes, nuts, seeds, and quality protein digest more slowly. They keep insulin lower and steadier. When insulin stays low for long enough, your body finally gets permission to tap into stored fat. This is why some people lose weight without exercising at all, simply by changing food quality. Another silent factor is liquid calories. Your body doesn't register drinks the same way it registers solid food. Sugary teas, sodas, fruit juices, energy drinks. Even sweetened coffee, these can deliver hundreds of calories without triggering fullness. From a hormonal perspective, they're some of the worst offenders. When people cut out sugary drinks alone, many lose noticeable weight without changing anything else. Not because of calories, but because insulin levels drop dramatically. Now, let's talk about hunger, because constant hunger is the reason most diets fail. Hunger isn't just about an empty stomach. It's controlled by hormones like ghrelin and leptin. Poor sleep, stress, and ultra-processed food all disrupt these hormones. When that happens, your body loses the ability to accurately sense fullness. This is why sleep is a hidden weight loss weapon. When you sleep less than 6 hours regularly, your hunger hormones go completely out of balance. You crave quick energy, usually sugar and refined carbs. Your willpower drops. Studies show that sleep-deprived people eat more the next day, even when they try not to. Fixing sleep alone can lead to fat loss without a single workout. Stress is another invisible blocker. Chronic stress keeps cortisol high. Cortisol tells your body to hold onto fat, especially around the belly. It also increases cravings for comfort foods. So if you're stressed, overworked, and underslept, no amount of exercise will fix the root problem. Your body thinks you're under threat, and under threat, fat loss is not a priority. Now, here's something counterintuitive but powerful. Eating enough can help you lose weight. When people undereat for long periods, their metabolism slows down. The body becomes more efficient at conserving energy. Fat loss stalls. But when you nourish your body with enough protein, fiber, and healthy fats, your metabolism feels safe enough to let go of stored energy. Protein is especially important. It keeps you full, stabilizes blood sugar, and slightly increases calorie burn through digestion. People who prioritize protein often eat less naturally without trying. And then there's meal timing. Constant snacking keeps insulin elevated all day. Giving your body breaks between meals without constant grazing allows insulin to drop. This doesn't require extreme fasting. Even spacing meals 3 to 4 hours apart can make a noticeable difference. Weight loss without exercise isn't about hacks. It's about working with your biology instead of fighting it. And once you stop fighting your body, something interesting happens. Fat loss starts to feel easier. At this point, you might be wondering how all of this fits together into real life. What should you actually do day to day? How do you lose weight without workouts, without starving, and without obsessing over food? So how does this actually look in real life? How do you lose weight without exercise, without tracking every calorie, and without feeling miserable? It starts by simplifying your decisions instead of adding more rules. The first practical shift is building meals around satiety, not restriction. Every meal should answer one simple question. Will this keep me full for the next few hours? Foods that naturally do that are protein, fiber, and healthy fats: eggs, chicken, fish, lentils, beans, vegetables, yogurt, nuts. Olive oil. These foods slow digestion and send strong fullness signals to the brain. When meals are built this way, something surprising happens. Portion sizes regulate themselves. You don't need to force discipline because your body stops screaming for food every 2 hours. Compare that to refined carbs and sugar: a bowl of cereal, a white bread sandwich, a pastry. These digest fast, spike insulin, and leave you hungry again shortly after. That hunger feels urgent and emotional, not calm. That's not a willpower issue. That's blood sugar instability. Another powerful shift is reducing decision fatigue around food. When people constantly ask, "What should I eat next?" they're more likely to snack impulsively. Having simple, repeatable meals removes that mental stress. This doesn't mean boring food, it means predictable structure. Structure creates freedom. Now, let's talk about eating frequency. Most people think eating more often boosts metabolism. In reality, constant eating keeps insulin elevated. When insulin stays high, fat burning stays locked. By eating fewer, more satisfying meals and cutting unnecessary snacking, you give your body time to access stored fat. This doesn't require skipping meals aggressively. It just means eating when you're actually hungry, not bored, stressed, or following the clock. One of the easiest habits to change is late-night eating. Late-night snacks are rarely about hunger. They're about fatigue, stress relief, or habit. But biologically, eating late keeps insulin elevated when your body should be repairing and resting. Simply setting a gentle kitchen closed time can have a big impact over weeks. Hydration also plays a role people underestimate. Mild dehydration often feels like hunger. Drinking enough water throughout the day reduces unnecessary snacking, and replacing sugary drinks with water, black coffee, or unsweetened tea alone can remove hundreds of hidden calories daily. Another overlooked factor is how fast you eat. Eating quickly doesn't give your brain time to receive fullness signals. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes for satiety hormones to kick in. Slowing down, chewing more, pausing between bites naturally reduces intake without conscious restriction. This isn't about mindfulness trends. It's basic physiology. Now, let's address plateaus, because this is where people usually give up. Weight loss without exercise doesn't mean weight loss without patience. The scale may not drop every week. Some weeks your body is adjusting hormones, repairing tissues, or reducing inflammation. Fat loss doesn't always show up immediately as weight loss. This is why focusing only on the scale is misleading. Clothing fit, energy levels, hunger control, and mental clarity are often better indicators that your body is shifting into a healthier metabolic state. And here's something important: stress about weight loss can actually block weight loss. When people obsess, restrict aggressively, or constantly worry about food, cortisol rises. High cortisol encourages fat storage, especially in the abdominal area. Ironically, relaxing your approach often produces better results. That doesn't mean being careless. It means being consistent without being extreme. Another common mistake is expecting fast results. When weight loss happens slowly without exercise, it's often more sustainable. Rapid weight loss usually involves muscle loss, water loss, or hormonal disruption. Slow fat loss protects metabolism and makes regain less likely. Now, let's talk about social and psychological factors. Your environment shapes your behavior more than motivation ever will. Keeping ultra-processed snacks visible increases consumption. Keeping whole foods accessible increases better choices. You don't need more discipline. You need fewer temptations. Sleep, again, deserves emphasis. Going to bed earlier, keeping screens away before sleep, and getting consistent rest stabilizes hunger hormones. People who fix sleep often notice reduced cravings without trying. And here's a subtle but powerful mindset shift. Stop seeing food as a reward. When food becomes emotional compensation, eating goes beyond hunger. Replacing food rewards with non-food rewards, rest, time off, entertainment, relaxation breaks that cycle over time. Weight loss without exercise works best when the goal isn't losing weight, but restoring normal appetite signals. When hunger and fullness work properly again, weight loss becomes a side effect, not a battle. At this stage, your body is no longer fighting you. It's cooperating. But there's one more piece that often determines long-term success versus failure: the difference between fat loss and weight loss, and how to avoid the rebound that traps so many people. The reason so many people regain weight isn't because they fell off the plan. It's because their body was never truly in fat loss mode to begin with. Most approaches focus on short-term weight loss, not long-term fat loss. And there's a big difference. Weight loss can come from water, muscle, or even food sitting in your digestive system. Fat loss, on the other hand, happens when your hormones consistently allow stored fat to be released and used for energy. That only happens when insulin is low enough, stress is manageable, sleep is adequate, and food quality supports metabolic health. This is why exercise-only strategies often fail. Exercise burns calories, yes, but it also increases hunger. If hormones and appetite aren't aligned, the body simply replaces the calories burned, sometimes with interest. The result is frustration and regain. When you lose weight without exercise, primarily through food quality, sleep, and stress regulation, you protect your metabolism. Muscle is preserved. Hunger stays reasonable, and the body doesn't panic. Another key to avoiding rebound is flexibility. Rigid rules create backlash. When a plan says never eat this or always do that, it works temporarily and then collapses. A sustainable approach allows occasional flexibility without guilt. One higher carb meal doesn't undo progress. What matters is the overall pattern. Your body responds to consistency, not perfection. There's also a powerful psychological shift that happens when weight loss docentry depend on workouts. People stop seeing their body as something to punish. Food stops being an enemy. This reduces stress, which further supports fat loss. It's a positive feedback loop. Now, let's clear up a common fear. If I don't exercise, will my health suffer? The answer is no, at least, not in the way most people think. Weight loss itself improves blood sugar control, blood pressure, inflammation, and energy levels. Many metabolic health markers improve before any exercise is added. Exercise becomes optional, not mandatory. And interestingly, once people lose weight and regain energy, many naturally start moving more. Not because they're forcing it, but because it feels good again. Walking becomes easier, stairs feel lighter. Movement becomes a choice instead of a chore. That's how lasting change usually happens from the inside out. One final truth that deserves to be said clearly: your body is not broken. If you've struggled for years, it's not because you're weak. It's because you were given incomplete information. You were told to fight your biology instead of understand it. When you lower insulin through better food choices, reduce stress, improve sleep, eat satisfying meals, and stop constant snacking, your body does what it was designed to do. It lets go of excess fat. Not overnight, not magically, but steadily, quietly, and sustainably. Weight loss without exercise isn't a shortcut. It's a smarter starting point, especially for people who feel exhausted, overwhelmed, or stuck. And once your foundation is strong, everything else becomes easier. So if there's one thing to remember, it's this: weight loss doesn't begin in the gym. It begins in your daily habits, your sleep, your stress levels, and the signals you send to your body through food. You don't need to punish yourself with exhausting workouts to see results. You don't need extreme diets, constant hunger, or guilt. When you focus on food quality instead of obsession, on rest instead of restriction, and on consistency instead of perfection, your body responds in ways most people never experience. Weight loss without exercise isn't about doing less, it's about doing what actually works. Once your hormones are balanced and your appetite is under control, fat loss becomes natural, sustainable, repeatable, and most importantly, it becomes something you can maintain for life. And when you're ready, when your energy is higher, your body feels lighter, and movement feels good again. Exercise can become a bonus, not a burden. Until then, remember this: your body is on your side. Work with it, not against it. If this changed the way you think about weight loss, take a moment to reflect on one small habit you can adjust today, because small changes done consistently always beat extreme efforts that don't last. That's how real transformation begins.